Wow, Midoriya, you're just gonna ignore my 20 years of character development and reduce me down to a crying child? Yes! Yes, I am! Here! What's up, guys? I'm here, and here we are to do a breakdown slash review of chapter 412 of My Hero Academia, which is known as the world's craziest hero, or history's craziest hero. I forget already. But with that being the case, we do in fact have a hefty, dafty little chunk to talk about. This chapter has a lot of stuff, a lot of interesting little implications. It's got me reading too deep, which I tend to on and off do with My Hero Academia, but you know, I never know with Hori's pen. Once again, the man wrote Endeavor, so we have an endeavor of a chapter to cover. So let's not waste any more time, and let's hop right into it. Editing me. Ready? 3, 2, 1. What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. Fun fact, I do happen to have it on me, and keep it on me at all times. And another fun fact, Midoriya Izuku tends to have it in him, and keep... That sounds so bad, though. That sounds so bad, but am I wrong? Because maybe it's not all... But he has it in him, and he's keeping it in him. Presumably now at all times, considering what's revealed in this chapter. So, like, I'm not wrong. It just sounds wrong. It's not my fault. Blame Hori. He did this. It's not me. It's not me. Blame Hori. Alright? We good? We good? We good. Let's hop into chapter 412. So we open up and we do get to see that Midoriya now has to deal with the massive wave of decay, of destruction, of despair that's coming to him from Shigaraki. And the narrator questions, as decay approaches, what will Deku do? And we see that Midoriya Izuku has realized a certain phenomena that's been undergoing its evolution process with the utilization of his first acquired quirk, Black Whip. As he realizes, from the inside, while I was defending myself with Black Whip, it was unconsciously contracting my muscles. So, this is interesting. And I'm going to interpret this in one of two ways, but I'm going to go the more favorable way for Midoriya, because I do like the idea that he's just battle IQing this to like the extreme, and he's just using his quirk experience in a way that only he can from his extensive understanding and practice and training and development and utilization of these abilities. But I like to imagine that first, it was a subconscious process. As he says, it was unconsciously contracting his muscles, essentially squeezing his muscles even harder to wring out even more force behind it. But with that being the case, while he's doing that unconsciously, he noticed the phenomena and said, wait, if I'm already doing this unconsciously, why don't, in order to get even more power, why don't I just focus it even more? Why don't I just get an even grippier grip? There's no way I can say it. Well, actually, why don't I just contract my muscles even more? Don't need to say grippier grip. Why don't I just contract my muscles even more actively, consciously using Black Whip, rather than unconsciously? And that's how he's essentially building up this much force. And I also like how I think he maybe like, he's multi-pronged stacking here. Bro's like, he's like giga-braining it. Because I think not only is he stacking Black Whip on top of his musculature in order to rip out more force, but I think he's consistently like contracting and uncontracting and contracting and uncontracting Black Whip and his musculature so he can cheat out more Fajin with minimal movements. Because remember, Fajin's built on storing all that latent energy from motions, but the thing with that is, you know, you gotta grip and ungrip and grip and ungrip, which can get tedious. So you have to do squats, as they show in the anime. Like, I still find that little cut of the anime of Midoriya doing like hitting the squats was kind of funny to me. But you need to do that. But with Black Whip contracting admittedly inside of his body, which is, but with Black Whip contracting inside his body, he's also cheating to kind of like consistently build up Fajin just by his muscles contracting and decontracting and contracting and decontracting and just expanding and constricting. Like, this is some like some giga brain plays right here. This is genuinely impressive to me on how much he's stacking and abusing, and I do like it. I like it because one critique I've always kind of had for Midoriya, and I need to, and then once the series ends, I'm probably going to do a full series retrospective and look through things, and once again, and try to go through with a clear head and understanding of where Hori took the narrative, and whether or not Midoriya succeeds is also a big thing I'm interested to see. But despite, I don't know, at least to me, despite Midoriya being hyped up as like a super fat giga brain battle IQ guy, like he had some of the fattest mental stacks in the entire series, like, I don't know. I never really saw the vision. Like, there's nothing explicit that Midoriya ever did that made me go like, whoa, his brain is so fat. But like this, once again, I may just be super interpreting it in a crazy weird way, but I do genuinely think this is like one of my favorite, if not one of the only moments I can remember of Midoriya like, okay, I just discovered an accidental system mechanic. Let me exploit the system mechanic to exploit the system mechanic of another system mechanic. Essentially, Black Whip is contracting my muscles. Let me contract my muscle with Black Whip to get more force. And while I'm trying to get more force by constricting my muscles with Black Whip, let me also contract my muscles in order to build up more and more Fajin in order to stack the original purpose of getting more force, while also by having Black Whip coursing through my veins, literally, instead of ice in his veins, Black Whip in his veins. Black ice? Black ice isn't a good thing though. Like black ice is like you don't see ice on your driveway and you step out there and so like maybe black ice in his veins is not a good example or idea. But I like the idea that he's so locked in, so focused that even everything is kind of building into more power and simultaneously more defense. Because notably, he says he realized this when he was defending himself with Black Whip. Meaning that Black Whip, even if it's under his skin, meaning his skin could likely take lethal damage if he like were to like take a hit or something like that. Or say like a blade were to come and just like he would like lose the skin, but at least his musculature is protected, which is extra defense on top of that. As we know, Black Whip provides more defense. And I really, really like how Midoriya now fully is stacking all the system mechanics and abusing them together, even if it means breaking down his own body. Which, you know, that's kind of been Midoriya's whole thing ever since the start of the series. So I'll definitely take it. I'll definitely take it. And we see it as the decay rushes forth to Izuku Midoriya. He pulls back with maximum Fajin, which is weird. Like, Fajin has a maximum. Like you can run, like you can peak out. Like, what's the meter fill like? What's the percentage rate? Like, what's the meter growth? Like let me know. Like, is there optimal? Like, is this just the most optimal way to build Fajin? Is it like fighters where once you get to 7 bars, you can't get any more ki or anything like that? Or is it like it's like Smash meter, like where you can't do anything once you build up to your Smash meter, that's it. You can no longer build any more Smash meter until you use the final Smash. What do you mean maximum Fajin? What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Well, that being the case, we see Midoriya Izuku reel back, and I do love this. It looks like a punch. I do love how he pulls it back. He loads it in the chamber essentially. He basically loads it in the chamber, and I love the callback to all the previous instances of these fragile, fleshy little fingers doing their fragile, fleshy little thing. From the initial ball toss, which revolutionized Midoriya as a combatant and his understanding of One For All, to the finger flick all the way back at USJ, which once again shattered his finger but showed a better understanding of how to utilize his abilities, from a series of close contact, which resulted in a bunch of force going to the ball itself, to the evolution of manipulation of air pressure and the force that will come out of a finger flick due to One For All, to the direct integration of the air pressure that can come from the utilization of One For All and attacking it directly, all the way in the school festival arc in the Battle with Gentle, plus the Mei Gauntlet, not Mei Hatsume, wrong series, but from the Mei Gauntlet all the way to now, where after all this experience, all this understanding of his fingies, all of his understanding on how to utilize his fingies, manipulate his body, bend it all, and utilize it perfectly, he breaks free of all the limitations. The limitations of his own flesh, the limitations of his quirk, the limitations of reality in a sense, and especially the limitations that were set upon him by his lack of understanding in the support item. And sure, the support item definitely helped. Like, don't get me wrong, this thing was definitely useful. But you can tell it was holding him back. And by him finally unleashing it, by him reeling back and just, boom, sending it out at Mach 37. So, well, probably way faster than that. But still, at Mach 37, to use wind pressure. Gorgeous. I do love it. It felt like, once again, I'm very much in the camp, especially just based on what this chapter is going to establish. I'm 100 million, billion, quintillion, nonillion% in the camp that Midoriya has not really developed as a character. That's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. Being, like, you can have flat characters. You can. Some of my favorite characters ever are flat. Look at Toph. Toph from Avatar The Last Airbender. The definition of a flat character. Aang from Avatar The Last Airbender. The definition of a flat character. Percy Jackson. No, I'm kidding. Percy Jackson goes way too much to that one. But still, that's not a bad thing. But I do like the little, like the character development of his abilities and the change that comes with that. I do like that. I do like how it's pretty much culminated here. The force has kind of been unleashed to the point where I don't think we will see wind pressure throughout the rest of this encounter. But if this is how it's going to go out, and this one last final desperate gambit, but the desperation is underlined by the perfection and culmination of his ability and his understanding, beautiful. Your boy will take that. Your boy will definitely take that. Good stuff, Corey. Good stuff. And once again, I know y'all are getting sick and tired of it, but as a guy with a pencil myself, you know I've got to get to glaze. And I'm about to put you could fill a whole rack of donuts with the amount of glaze I'm about to go into. Look at this hand, bro. Look at this hand. And I know. Hori does have assistants. I think he has, like, I forget how many assistants he has. He has a lot of assistants. At least I think so. Because, like, they're always the ones doing those extra drawings at the end of the volumes. And I think a max of 5. But then again, I may think of, like, 5 pages and there are multiple assistants within that. But just forget all that. Hori, a demon. Because, like, look at this hand. Like, it's such an interesting angle to draw the hand from, too. This is such a dynamic shot. Like, one critique I'll kind of always have for Hori, but he's definitely been getting better at towards this back end of the series, is that if you go to a lot of early Hori stuff, and like early Hori, I don't even mean like previous, like early MHA stuff, there's a lot of like, it feels like there's very little motion. Like a mangaka like Nakaba Suzuki of Four Knights and Heavenly Sins fame, a character like Suzuki Sensei of Sakamoto Days fame, a character like Gegara Utami of Jujutsu Kaisen fame, there's typically like a lot of motion in their art. Like there's a feeling of motion. It's like the illusion of animation. Like your brain automatically fills in the frames based on how they draw their characters in combat, or even just in motion. Like it doesn't, like the illusion of motion doesn't just have to be in combat exclusively. That's kind of where you want it mostly if you're in a battle shonen. That's why Sakamoto Days is so successful in terms of its combat, because it has the best dynamic and understanding of motion. But Hori's clearly getting better. Like, I can see from the little details of the fingers flicking off, the glove itself shattering from the burst of energy that comes from Midoriya, from the cape blowing into the wind, to his hair being spiked back by the energy and the force that he's swinging with, to every piece of the gauntlet, from the main gauntlet itself to the back part of it just shattering off. The force that is implied by this, and the release and the motion lines. He's too goated with it. He's too goated with the sauce. I hate he may, like, honestly, I do be glazing Boichi. But Dr. Stone's been over for a hot minute now. And I think honestly, I know we just had like the re-ending, like the new ending. Because no one liked the end of Dr. Stone. No one did. Me included. But like, I've grown softer on it with a reread of the series, though. I've grown softer on the ending, but I grow soft on a lot of, like, my harshness typically dulls with time, with almost anything I don't like, except for Panda. But that's another thing from another series. That doesn't matter. But at least in reference to this. But man, bro, I think he may just be the best. He may just, if this kind of motion, and I ain't talking about bands, but if this kind of motion stays like this, and this chapter, this isn't the only point of motion. The reason I'm giving it so much highlight is because I, myself, suck at drawing hands, especially hands in motion. So, like, I'm glazing so much because this is, once again, Hori. It's basically Hori flexing every last one of his art chops, from the dynamism of the posing, to the dynamism of the angle, to the motion in the hand, showing his better understanding of motion and movement in static images, to the detail from the glove shattering into the billions of pieces, to the individual amounts of energy flowing through the hand, to the individual bits of line art. Like, I've got a glaze. I'm sorry. He's just him. He's just like that. He's just like that, for real. I'm sorry. I feel like for how good he is, I feel like I don't meet Munchum enough. I know that sounds crazy, and you're like, whoa, Pencil, really? Like, you don't meet Munch Hori enough? I don't think I do. I think it's because it's standard, right? Like, whenever Gege has a good drawing, I'm like, whoa, Gege, you're cooking right here. Whenever Nakaba pulls out a good drawing, I'm like, whoa, Nakaba, you're cooking here. Sakamoto Days, I haven't reviewed it in a while. I've started it again, but, there's only been one chapter out since I started reviewing it again. But, I do be glazing Suzuki every time I talk about it. But Horikoshi, since the art quality is always typically so high, the only times you'll ever hear me mention it is when I think something falls below his standard. That's typically the only time. And I do be glazing here and there. But enough glaze. Let's actually go into the effects of this wind pressure. And what I do like about this. I love how Shigaraki's humanity is being displayed in a subconscious act. Like, let's be real. You know, and I know, that you know, that I know, that we know, that Shigaraki probably knows that this Delaware smash, as metal and as crazy as it is, from, chapter 412, History's Craziest Hero. Oh, it's History's Craziest Hero, not the world's. But there you go. But we all know. We all know. Our brains are fat enough to know that Shigaraki was never really in danger from the swing of this Delaware smash. Like, air pressure is cool and all, but, like, this guy's prime all might level at base. In Boss A. Like, at base, this guy's prime all might level. Then stack the bajillion quirks he has inside of him due to All for One. Like, you know he wasn't taking any damage from that. But even subconsciously, and probably as a half subconscious measure and half actively conscious measure due to danger sense, which we see proc here, he raises his hands to guard. It goes to show that in spite of his desire, his need, his want to become something that transcends, that goes beyond humanity, that leaps to an entirely different point, means, and metric, he's still human. Deep in his heart and core, he's still human. He still has human reactions. He still guards himself. He's not this incarnation of destruction. He still is a man deep down. A man that'll feel fear, even when that fear is unfounded, due to the raw level of power he has access to. And I like that. Once again, this chapter, in little things like this, and things we'll get into later, it plays on certain concepts and ideas that I think have been there. Once again, I do need to do a reread of MHA, and I was pretty harsh on it for a long time. So I'm softening up, and I'm trying to open my horizons. This chapter, maybe one of my favorites because of how much like little character work. Why does my finger keep cracking like that? Ooh, stop that! Ooh, stop that! What's happening to you? I'm old. I'm not that old. Oh, jeez. Yeah, it's just cracking, but. Now I'm not gonna do this. But man, I love doing that. I'll have to do it with my. Both of them are doing it. Yeah, you're more consistent, but you do it too. Jeez, fingers, please. I'm sorry. I'll massage you more. Jeez, but the reason I'm sad that I can't do that is because like this is the Xehanort thing. I love doing the Xehanort thing. I don't want my fingers cracking out, but there's a bunch of different things in this chapter that I feel like are HORI planting little subconscious seeds to show that both of these characters are simultaneously wrong and right. Of course, Midoriya will win in the end, because, like, it's My Hero Academia. But, like, the conceptualization and the characterization and the humanization of both of these larger-than-life characters is really, really nice. And some of it comes out the most in moments where neither of them are speaking. This here for Shigaraki, and we're going to get to one for Midoriya soon enough. But we see this Delaware smash destroys, levels a whole bunch of the area. And the thing is, right, you may think this is a bad thing, but I guess not. Now, I'm going to chalk this up to just me forgetting. I could have sworn, you know what, I have the Googler on me. Let me just flat out double check, because I may or may not be losing my good mind. I could have sworn Decay was omnidirectional now. But maybe because once again, I do think Shigaraki, once again in a way to show his humanity, if only subconsciously, is holding back. But I could have sworn Decay was omnidirectional. Decay is Tomoda's primary means of combat. No, just show me the use. What is the ability of it? Usage, Decay, fully manifested in 5-year-old Tenko. Yeah, whatever. Shocked was left punished by his father, rescuing Tenko, slaughtering them. Took advantage. Quirk Strength. Tomura, repressed, unaware, the absence of his quirk, holding himself back, causing more destruction he was capable of. As his password, Decay, primary form of combat, engages his opponent in close quarters, reawakening to the original strength of his quirk and going even beyond that. Oh, maybe it isn't. Maybe it wasn't omnidirectional. Maybe I am just losing my good mind. Huh. Nope, it's definitely omnidirectional. So yeah, it is a little bit weird. I do think, but I think once again this goes to the characterization. I'm gonna chalk this up to like a weird inconsistency because look at what Shigaraki says here. Who said about the Shigaraki voice? You're clever, Midoriya. He estimated the extent of my decay and blew the very ground away to stop me. It won't be able to spread so far, meaning it becomes less deadly. But that's merely a stopgap measure. So the reason I'm questioning, like, wait, wasn't decay omnidirectional? Is because remember, he touched Mount Fuji. Like, this is Mount Fuji in the background. And, like, don't get me wrong, Midoriya Delaware smashes this whole area. But, like, if decay was used omnidirectionally here, Midoriya would have to destroy, like, Mount Fuji. Like, he'd have to destroy, like, the entire area. Because decay would just keep spreading. Like, it would just keep going. It would keep reducing everything even further away from this reach. Because notably, the wind gust does reach Shigaraki, and it goes a bit behind him, but it doesn't seem to, like, reach all the way behind him. And especially with how fast decay moves now, you would think it'd do more, but I think Shigaraki, in a way, is kind of playing with Midoriya. He's like, and once again, I'm not sure how much of this is conscious. How much of this is Midoriya, well, Shigaraki being like, you know what? This is probably the final, like, real challenge I'll have in forever. And who knows, once I slaughter everybody, I won't have video game manufacturers anymore. So I might as well take down this final boss with a little bit of fun. And, like, he's actually genuinely enjoying himself and restricting himself a bit. And kind of just, like, I don't want to say poking the bear, but low-key kind of poking the bear that is Midoriya and be like, come on, whip it out. Smack it on my, whoa. Let's not go that far. But, like, whip it out, Midoriya. Try it. Do everything you can to stop me. Like, I think he is kind of doing that because that would explain why the decay is omnidirectional. And why it would be stopped and slowed down in a stopgap measure. Because with the level of power Shigaraki should be at, Mount Fuji should be nothing more than history. But, if he's holding back, even subconsciously, because we know he has subconsciously held back his quirk before, he could be playing himself. A little bit of that humanity could still be kicking in, bro. I don't know, Shiggy. Are you really the embodiment of all evil? Are you really a god of destruction? I ain't buying it right now. I'm going a little bit too soft. A little bit too gingerly, bro. A teeny tiny bit too ginger. Like, I think realistically, bro, you should be, as the cool kids say these days, geeking and tweaking. But right now, this is some light stuff, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Let's see. That's merely a stopgap measure. I just need to touch it again and again. Now, this is also a little bit weird. I forget. Once again, this is just from an application of me not reading the manga, and it's been a hot minute since we've seen decay properly used on a large scale. I think the last time we saw it properly used on a large scale was in the first war. But I thought once something was reduced down to flatness, like it was essentially, I thought decay reduced everything to dust. And like it wouldn't reach into the planet, essentially. Like when Shigaraki says, I just need to touch it again and again. Touch what? The already flattened ground? Like I know Midoriya like destroyed and rustled up a whole bunch of the ground, but like, bucko. Like if you did, like, I forget, does it work like Overhaul where if you disconnect the ground, well, I guess, yeah, because it has to be all 5 fingers. So here's the thing. If he's referring to the flat ground, then that shouldn't decay anymore, unless the decay is going to start reaching into, like, the crust of the earth. And if he's talking about the stone path that Midoriya just made up by destroying a whole chunk of the environment, then that may not work either. But then again, I know things of decay now affect other things, even if they weren't touched by the original decay user, so maybe that's what Shigaraki's going for? But I'd be very interested to see how Shigaraki's decay keeps activating and working later on in this fight. And I do love how Shigaraki moves. Like, he's so full body with it. He's so, like, I hate to say it, I love to say it. He's so dramatic with it. He throws up his arms like, he dives in towards the ground like, like he's just moving. Why? Sternum, why did you just crack like that? But he's moving so deviously, so bestially. I think that's literally it. Like I was about to go into more adjectives, but really is. It's so bestial. It's so animalistic in the way that he's just, and just throwing himself off the air. Though knowing this is like a quirk thing, but still, I think it's neat. But we see Shigaraki. And I do love how Danger Sense is being portrayed here as just no black lines or nothing. It's just the white tearing through the page, even breaking through the boundaries of the panels. The dust cloud hasn't dissipated yet. And we see, from the shadows, from the shade, the tendrils rise up going, come here, Shigaraki. Let us tickle your toes, bro. Let us get those toes and footsies. And they go for it. And once again, you can see how Danger Sense is getting in the way. Because presumably, these wouldn't do any damage. They wouldn't even be able to restrain him anymore. Like these black weapons, maybe this one's looking a little bit fancy. The way this coiled one right here, it's going crazy. But these like regular black whip tendrils, well, if you don't like, and remember, bro's prime All Might level. If he's really that concerned about the smoke, boom, punch in its general direction. You will literally eviscerate the entire area. Like, really, once again, there's a certain point I'll talk to about later in this chapter, based on what the final resolution of this chapter implies. But like, if this man is left with just prime All Might level strength after his quirk gets destroyed, he's still a menace. He's still a demon. Like, this guy could level. It would take longer. Don't get me wrong, but like, bro could definitely level creation if he still felt like it, just being prime All Might level. But with that being the case, we see he goes, "Oh, got it. I see what you're doing here." So Shigaraki big brains it and realizes that Midoriya's abusing Danger Sense now that Shigaraki has it. But once again, I said it earlier and I'll say it again, the best cases of characterization come from not what is said in this chapter, but what is done. It is clear, at least to me right here, that if Midoriya, you see he's right here, he tears straight through Shigaraki's arm. He goes straight for it, and then just straight at the elbow joint, he just boom, tears straight up through it. If Midoriya wanted to finish this, if he really wanted to, and he genuinely cared about his own well-being and the genuine safety of billions of lives, he would have shifted himself 3 degrees to the right. He would have, not 3 degrees, but he would have gone to the right. Just instead of diving through here, put that fist straight through his skull. Eviscerate him. If he was really about, it, if he wasn't so concerned about that crying child and was more concerned about the billions, okay, maybe not billions, well, actually, probably, we have 7 billion people. I'm assuming at least 1/7 of the people on the planet are children. Like children's legally under the age of 18, it's like 17. I'm pretty sure there are at least 1 billion 17-year-olds and under. So like, all for the sake of one crying child, instead of taking this opportunity, because this could be it. Like, I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe Shigaraki can survive if his brain gets pasted, but just based on how Hood ended up getting got, and just the basis of Shigaraki still not even being like a Nomu, he's still like a human being, I presume that if Midoriya had gone through with this kind of intent and just straight dunked through Shigaraki's head, he'd be cooked. He'd be cooked. And Midoriya he would have saved everybody. He would have, admittedly, though, he would have sacked this one crying child. Well, we'll get into that too, because once again, there's more characterization and stuff like that that goes into it. There's more stuff. Once again, Hori, once again, I could just be reading. I keep saying once again. So once again, no, I'm kidding. Furthermore, I could just be reading too much into it. I could just be like trying to see things that aren't there. But welcome to That Guy with the Pencil, where I try to see things that aren't there. But at least to me, this is Midoriya kind of indirectly telling Shigaraki, "Hey, bro, I got your number. I know where you stay at, where you live at. I know your IP address. I know everything. I know your gamer tag that you made in 7th grade. I know everything, Shigaraki. I know what you did." Like, this is Midoriya soft telling Shigaraki, if I wanted you gone, bro, I could do it. All it took, this is a 2-stage set, well, a bit more multi-stage than that. It's the smoke screen it's the maximum Fajin into the smoke screen, into the Black Whip combo to trigger Danger Sense, into the down strike. But this is Midoriya soft telling, bro, I could get you right now. You are alive because I am willing it. And I do like that. Once again, maybe that's just me soft interpreting something. Maybe Midoriya wouldn't be able to just dive his fist straight through Shigaraki's dome piece. Maybe so. But I think this is Midoriya's way. Like, especially look at him. Look at him in this panel. Does it look like there's like anything but focus, determination, and a lack of mercy? Like, this is a man on a mission. And he just tears straight through Shigaraki's arm. It's basically a warning shot. It is basically a warning shot. Like, you will be got. You shall be got. Forever and always, bro. don't try me. And I do like it. But of course, Midoriya, once again, it's kind of an empty threat though, just because it's Midoriya. Like simultaneously, this is him telling Shigaraki like, oh, I could get rid of you at any time, but this is also telling Shigaraki, I'm not going to get rid of you at any time. So it kind of is a double-edged sword. It's kind of like, how do I put this? It's kind of like someone showing you that they could do something lethal to you, but you know by the ways of their character and how they display that they can do something lethal to you, that you never actually in danger of them doing something lethal to you. That's kind of how it is. Like, for example, I have a friend who is a like 3rd degree black belt. That man is a lethal weapon. His calves are bigger than my head. Like that dude's a monster in terms of just overall strength, and he has the years upon year, like over, I think like now going on like 2 decades of experience in direct combat to like back it up. Bro be teaching other people how to fight. And like he showed me, like bro has annihilated, not me, because I was not foolish enough to try, bro. But he has annihilated the guy who's 45 pounds heavier than me in pure muscle and also 6 inches taller than me. I'm lying. The guy's like 6'9". I am 3 feet tall. But still, I like bro humbled bro instantaneously the moment he started talking smack. But at the same time, like we knew he wasn't gonna do anything to him. Like, there's no way bro's gonna suddenly turn around and just mollywop bro. So like, it's kind of the same thing. It's a threat, but it's an empty threat. Let's see. But we do get to see that Midoriya reveals the strat. By using gear shift's low gear on smokescreen, I made it last longer to overwhelm danger sense. And while he can't see anything, I can... Oh, I'm sorry. I read that back. The word placement is a little bit funny in this chapter so far, but I don't know. It's something about it. But, and while he can't see anything, I can use Black Whip to overwhelm his danger sense. And once again, I do like that. I like how Midoriya is giga-braining it. He's taking the experience that he has with danger sense, his understanding of it, and taking what he learned from previous battles, specifically the battle with Lady Nagant. He's taking that info and he basically is just abusing it against Shigaraki. He's like, sure, you got this new quirk. It's nice. It's wonderful. It might as well just be Spider-Man's Spidey Sense. But just like Spider Sense in the comics, and even in the movies, like the movies tend to portray it well, and in the animated series too, Spider Sense can be abused. It can be outplayed. It can be overwhelmed. And Midoriya is currently using that since he had so much experience with it. And we see bro is building up Fajin. He's consistently squatting and squatting and unsquatting and unsquatting and squatting and squatting. And even, I can't tell just based on how this looks, but I even think he's like, he's getting that motion up. He's charging up Fajin. And we see that, I forget this guy's name all the time. The smokescreen guy. He's like, are you kidding me? You've done all this just to build up Fajin? But wait, Ninth, you fool! Shigaraki still has Search! Which is true. And I do love how ominous this one... It's such a tiny panel, but this one image of just Shigaraki... Like, he is dead locked in. And we see he uses Search to pinpoint Midoriya's exact location and just pierces straight through, bro. And I do like that. It's the flip of it, right? Sure. Midoriya knows the weaknesses of Danger Sense because Shigaraki's new with the quirk, and thusly he wouldn't be able to use it as efficiently as Midoriya does. By proxy, Shigaraki is able to be abused and leave openings that typically wouldn't be there on Midoriya because he understands the weaknesses of Danger Sense due to all of his experience with it. But at the same time, by losing Danger Sense, a very pivotal quirk, he couldn't dodge this. Presumably, if he had Danger Sense, he would have been able to avoid this. But he doesn't anymore. So he takes the damage and gets pierced. So I do like that. I like how there's cost-benefit. Well, no, it literally is a cost-benefit analysis. There are costs for losing Danger Sense. Tangible, painful, real costs. But there are also benefits in the sense that he can kind of guide Shigaraki around, since Shigaraki's still human, and listening to the fear that's instilled in him by Danger Sense. And we see that Shigaraki, he just starts spitting. He's like, hey, Midoriya, I know it all. Your location and your weaknesses. And we see that, yep, Ragdoll's quirk is still being used. I do think this is kind of... kind of forget how this works. I'm going to go with the idea that once he looks at somebody, he knows their location and weaknesses consistently. Because she says, I know everything about anyone I lay my eyes on, up to 100 people at a time. So I'm assuming it's like, it's kind of like locking on somebody in a video game. Like, you've locked on. You now have their data set, no matter what. You can, like, read that, even if they're hiding in, like, a smoke screen. That's why it's search. But with that being the case, we see that Shigaraki pulls out the big old fact. He smacks the meat on the table and is like, you can't breathe, can you, Midoriya? And he cannot. Midoriya is currently... just... I know I should not be making fun of bro like that, but like... I'm not wrong. Bro can't breathe. That boy is gasping for air. And we see the reason why. Danjiburo says, gear shift's over, and the recoil's kicking in. And Shigaraki reveals, and I do like how it's Danjiburo who says it, and not even... I want to say he's Kudo. I forget who's Kudo. I forget who Kudo is. I think it's him. But we see Shigaraki admit that attack from before. It's not something you can keep using non-stop, is it? Reinforcing your tendons and muscles from the inside. I can now see that thing through your skin. Ugh! Ugh! Can you imagine having something lodged in your skin? Like, notably, like, our skin, like, admittedly, it's harder to tell. Like, like, here, I guess this is, like this is skin. I'm not even sure if I can get it, like, this is pretty much skin right here. Imagine something lodged under it. And not just lodged under it, but squeezing at everything beneath it. Not on top of you. Like this, yeah, okay, like this happens. Like, you can get grabbed. But, like, imagine, like, pulsing... Like, you ever put on a rubber band that's a bit too tight for too long, and you feel it cutting off your circulation? Imagine that, but it was under your skin. Ugh! That's essentially what Black Whip is here. It's gotta feel awful. And... that is crazy, that it's so thick and so potent that it's literally showing through Midoriya's skin. That goes to show that bro's abusing it. And it goes to show that bro, he's kind of messing around a little bit too much. He's playing himself. And we see Shigaraki even saying, honestly, an attack like that could have caused me some trouble. You just have too much you need to protect, Midoriya. So, I think this is even Shigaraki admitting, hey, broski, I got the memo. If you had gone for my dome piece, I could have been cooked. You could have got me. But you just can't do it. And it is kind of, once again, I mentioned this in the spoiler discussion, it is kind of like the Joker-Batman dynamic, if not verbatim the Joker-Batman dynamic, but not really. Not really. Because that depending on the duration, maybe it's closer. I think, like, actually, no, I can't really think where one is like a direct one-to-one comparison between the two. But in the sense where Shigaraki knows. Like, he knows right now that Midoriya is not going to do it. He knows. Shigaraki very clearly understands that, sure, Midoriya does have a bunch to protect. But when Shigaraki says, you just have too much you need to protect, Midoriya, I think he also means that Midoriya's own ideals and pride are what really needs protecting. Because, like, Martian's got the death beam pointed at Earth, and you gotta pick one man to take the shot. You don't want to be Midoriya. If you could, like, swap out characters in this scenario, you don't want Midoriya here. If you could give everyone Midoriya's exact level of power, skill, you just need to change the mindset. You want a Bakugo, someone who's willing to get the job done. You want Hawks, someone who's willing to get the job done. Someone like Endeavor, someone who's willing to get the job done. Because here's the thing. Essentially, Midoriya right now, and this is fine, once again, this is fine, and due to the nature of My Hero Academia, it's fine. Take what I'm saying here, not as a critique, and note this will not take points off the chapter's final score or anything like that. I'm just explaining what Midoriya is doing here, what Shigaraki's pointing out. Midoriya is gambling his interpretation of a man, that he's reducing all manhood, he's stripping away all Shigaraki's autonomy, and just assuming that Tenko Shimura, that crying child he saw for 2 seconds, is the main thing that's in there and needs saving. He's assuming that, and gambling that while he can't breathe, his musculature is breaking down, his opponent's basically immortal, and he's getting pierced and feeling damage left, right, left, right, left, right. He's gambling billions of lives. Remember, if Shigaraki wins, he's not going to. Don't get me wrong, I'm not Delulu enough to believe that Shigaraki's gonna win. But if Shigaraki were to get the victory royale right now and win, everybody's going to. Every last one of them. Shigaraki's going to go around and periodically slaughter every last bit of humanity. Himself, with his own bare hands. Like, maybe some people will be able to hide, but no one will be able to fight back. Midori is the last line of defense against Shigaraki. He is the last line that can save the entire world right now. If the Martian, Shigaraki is the Martians, and he kind of has the death being pointed at Earth. And right now, we do need Iguodala. We can't have Midoriya here because he's gambling all of that, all on his ideals. And sure, right, like Midoriya's ideals aren't bad. In the same way that, in my opinion, Batman's ideas, in the sense of everybody deserves a chance to change. Everybody has certain sanctity, like the sanctity of life, and life is sacred and stuff like that, and you shouldn't try and take it, and you shouldn't abandon those in need. True, 100% valuable ideals. But you know what Batman did? In Final Crisis, when the stakes were higher than ever. And spoilers for Final Crisis, by the way, but like, I mean, that runs like just 2024. I think it's gonna be like 20 years old in 2 years. So I'll spoil the Final Crisis. But essentially, when Darkseid, the god of apocalypse, was threatening to fall upon creation, the multiverse, slaughter infinite lives, really, because he was going to crush the entire thing under his corpse. If Batman did not load up, launch out with the Radiance Bang Bang, Batman was like, hey, bro, I'm a man who believes in the sanctity of life. I believe everybody has the right to change. All that is true, facts, and absolute. But in the incalculable cosmos of the universe, your life is not good enough. And he launched it. He took that choice. He walked down that path. It's like Midoriya's issue is the same issue I kind of have with Aang, what a lot of people have with Aang, and why people kind of like, if it's kind of like how I assume Midoriya's going to be saved, people are going to like it in the same way that people are fine with energy with the Lion Turtles, and the way I'm fine with the Lion Turtles. It gives Aang an out that allows him to keep his moral purity. And also, you know, just makes the whole, like, transfer of power simpler, because Osai's still alive at the end of Avatar. But, essentially, Midori is in the position of Batman in Final Crisis. Sure, the whole multiverse is in at stake. I don't even know if there is a multiverse for My Hero Academia. I highly doubt there is. But, with that being the case, the whole planet is under siege by this one man. He still is a man. I will give Midoriya that. Midoriya fully acknowledging that even in spite of Shigaraki's attempts to transcend, attempts to become something greater, attempts to evolve into something even further beyond, he's still a man. He's still a person, a being with thoughts and a will and a dream and stuff like that. And a person with a right to life. All that. That's all true. But essentially, for the sake of his ideals, right now, Midoriya is Batman in the sense that he does this fist right here. We're not sure if he probably does have it, considering what he reveals later on. But this right here is the Radion bullet. I shouldn't have said that word, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But this fist right here is the Radion Spivaki. This is the thing that could have been used to save everyone. The cost of one man for the lives of billions. Midoriya had that chance, and he squandered it, all for the sake of this one man. But notably, he doesn't even, and this is once again, I'm wondering if I'm reading too far into it, or if it is an intentional thing by Horikoshi. I think this is, in a way, Midoriya's character, not flaw, because he's essentially turning a character positive into a character flaw. In the same way that Midoriya's positive character trait of, I will save everyone and anyone at the cost of my own life and well-being, because that is the way of a true hero, that he had in Vigilante. He disregarded everybody else to the point where that's still positive trait. The willingness to save people is a very positive trait. All that stuff is good. But in the context of Vigilante, it was flipped into something negative. The trait that Midoriya has, where he doesn't leave anybody behind, where he's going to save everybody, where he will fight for the life and sanctity and power of everybody, no matter what, whether they are the greatest villain ever or an innocent civilian, right now, it's being pushed to the limit where it's seeming nuts. It's seeming lunacy. Because he's wearing down. Shigaraki, we don't know. Maybe he is getting worse for wear, but bro's fine. He in a similar vein, I'm not taking the shield off the wall. It's there. But like in a similar vein, he slid on that shield and was like, "Hey, Bucko, I can do this all day." Midoriya cannot do this all day. He simply can't. It's simply a case where he cannot do it all day. There's not the case. So he's gambling it right now. He's doing the coin toss. If he wins and he saves Shigaraki somehow, great. Save one person. Good. You know, you shouldn't leave one person behind. He gets to keep his moral integrity intact and all that. But if he loses, everybody dies. Everybody. His friends. His mother. All Might. Bakugo. Every last innocent person on the planet will die if the one person who has the ability to stop Shigaraki permanently, end the cycle of All for One, tear him apart limb from limb, make it so that this cycle of destruction and death and carnage can never continue again, ultimately, Midoriya is simply gambling it all on a hope. And of course, once again, this is a shonen manga, and thusly, Midoriya is going to win. He's going to be right. In the end, he's simply going to be right. But right now, from this context, I see Hori showing us that, yeah, this is a good thing, but it's being stretched. And we see that Midoriya, he immediately kicks Shigaraki down. And we see that Shigaraki, he's fine. He recovers, and he's like, everyone sees the world through their own lens. Huh? What's happening? I can't see. He ran away? And whenever something doesn't make sense, we try making up meanings for it. All you're trying to do is unravel me through your own pathetic lens. You saw it, right? In the same way I can see your ghosts, you can see inside me. So, even deep inside the smoke, you should be able to notice it. Look carefully. That little boy stopped crying a long, long time ago. He changed the lens to which he sees the world and turned into Tomura Shigaraki. There is no suffering left inside me. And once again, I see the vision. I see the vision. And this goes into the idea of character erasure, right? Like, one of the biggest reasons I did not like All for One was because of character erasure. But the thing here is that Shigaraki, in a sense, is saying that Midoriya is disregarding the man that's before him. Tomura Shigaraki is admittedly a name that was gifted to him by a monster. A creature, a beast, a demon that was All for One. Tomura Shigaraki is not Tenko Shimura. That is true. But Tomura Shigaraki is a person. He is someone who has gone through development, who has walked down this path, who has fully actualized himself as who he is, and has found himself liberated and free and unbound by all those who attempt to chain him, and ultimately by Midoriya enforcing his ideology on top of Shigaraki, instead of clashing with him as an equal, by disregarding the man that is Tomura Shigaraki for the boy that is Tenko Shimura. He's erasing Shigaraki. He's kicking Shigaraki under the rug. He's crushing everything that Shigaraki is and erasing all that he went through because there's just a crying child inside of him, which apparently can't even be seen anymore. And to be fair, like, I don't really see him either. So, like, it is correct, and I do think Shigaraki's wrong to a degree. There's clearly suffering inside of him. That's why he's going down this path. His motivation to destroy the world is still based on the suffering that that boy underwent. But I do agree with Shigaraki in the sense that the man that Shigaraki has become is just as valid as that boy. In the same way that the hero that Midoriya has become is still different from the boy, the quirkless boy who once was. If only in the sense of power. And the freedom that comes with that power. and the ability to change the world that comes with that power. So, Shigaraki's wrong and he's right. And Midoriya's wrong and he's right. And I like that. I like how I'm able to see. And once again, maybe I'm just huffing straight liquid copium and seeing writing strats and tactics that aren't there, but I think I'm seeing the vision. I think my Jimmy Neutron is brain blasting right now. I think I am seeing the vision. I think Hori is writing this dual-sided narrative where both sides are simultaneously right and wrong because they're clashing their ideals in this very specific way. Midoriya's ideals are pure, they're right, they're good, they're wonderful, but they're risking the lives of billions of people and are only being held up for the sake of his own ideology and pride. That's it. And at the same time, Shigaraki is a man, is an individual who should be recognized by Midoriya if he truly cares about recognizing Shigaraki and saving him, just at least acknowledging his existence as Shigaraki, the name he's chosen to go with, the idea that he's chosen to become. By acknowledging that would be Midoriya, actually not sweeping him under the rug. But no, Midoriya is going to sweep that man under the rug. Smother him even, so he can get to that crying child. A crying child that may not even exist anymore, because the crying child grew into the man. It's interesting. And of course, we see Nana Shimura. She comes out. Once again, reinforces the whole idea of why Midoriya refuses. I want to save that boy. We see, as Midoriya struggles, remember, he's just accumulating damage and fatigue. Give up, Izuku-kun. Some people just can't be saved. He represents the biggest wall in the way of your heroism, and that's fine if you can't overcome it. Finish him with a single powerful attack. Do it, Izuku-kun. Store even more energy than before. So I guess this isn't Fashin Maximum. What is this then? What is this? Hori, what is this then? If this is not, in fact, Maximum Fashin, is he going to go even Maximumer on some Broly type beat? No, I'm kidding. But get into the character conflict here, right? Because this is a W idea of character conflict. In a way, I see Nana's point. She's right. But here's the thing that really gets me. How would Midoriya have dealt with All for One? That's my question. How would he have dealt with All for One? That moral quandary was taken off the table, which is fine. This is fine. I'm happy it was. I don't like All for One. Still to this day. I like aspects of him. He has some of my favorite moments in the series. Once again, it's your turn reference before the detonation of the mansion in the Vigilante arc. Still, a top 5 moment for me in the entire series. I know that seems so weird, but I love how much goes into that moment, how the flip works, how it happens, everything. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. But I'm very interested to see how Izuku would have handled All for One. It was All for One. But he did have a crying child inside of him. The boy was motivated by his dreams as a child. How would Midoriya have handled him? Would he have tried to save him too? I'm interested. Because notably All for One's been forecasted as this big, evil, transcendental being, but he was still a man. No matter how much he wanted to be a demon lord, he still was a man. So I'd be very interested to see how Midoriya would have dealt with All for One. We'll never know, and that's fine. But I'm very interested. I would be very interested to see the alternate timeline where Shigaraki never regained control, and it was, let's say Shigaraki, the persona, or even just the body, perished, and it was just Prime All for One left versus Midoriya. I wonder what choices Midoriya would have made, considering it's very likely he didn't see a crying child. However, with it being the case, we see that Midoriya goes, no, if it was that easy, the pain from the past wouldn't be bothering you both so much. If it was swept under the rug. You pretended to not see those who you couldn't save, and swept their pain under the rug. I won't stop fighting until I've shredded that rug with my own hands. Whew. I can't wait to hear this one voice acted. I'm very interested to see... I forget the English and the Japanese voice actor's name because I don't watch the anime, but I'm very interested. I may look up this clip in particular if I remember to when this comes out in 5 years. Not 5 years. I think ironically enough, it should be coming out next season. I don't know what. They're already doing the war arc, the second war arc. This is a thing that's happening. I have no idea why. I guess we've had enough content for it. It's been, I suppose, a season's worth. But darn, y'all, Bones, relax. Take your time. It's Horikoshi's art you need to animate. Relax. Let's see. Until I've shredded that rug with my own hands. And once again, this is a cool moment, and it reinforces Midoriya's ideology. I think this is Black Whip even coursing up through his skull. Like, bro is literally losing it. Bro is tweaking and geeking. But I still think, in a way, that this is character erasure. He does not acknowledge Shigaraki Tomura as a person, and that's crazy in a good way. And we do see that. I think this is Kudo. I forget. You know what? I keep saying I forget. I had a Googler. Let me just whip out the Googler. I said Gudo. 1 for all MHA. Please show me the darn way. Show me the truth. 1 for all. Who were you? Oh yeah, so it is Kudo. There we go. Kudo. Kudo goes on to say, and that's why I opposed him. You tell us to devote our efforts to the one who wants to save our mortal enemy? I thought he was a peace-seeking fool, so I looked into his memories and finally understood. This boy doesn't give up on anyone, even the boy he should hate, or a fellow quirkless person. He always chooses to believe in the heart, deep inside them. I won't go too deep into this because I got into it before. These are very different scenarios. Bakugo is a childhood bully. Shigaraki is going to slaughter everyone on the planet. These two scenarios are not the same, but that's the only thing. Midoriya's purity here, once again, I do think is being used, and you can see it is influencing the people. And we see that Stars and Stripes. She comes out with the big finger. She be pointing. And we see both Energy Might and Kudo turn and realize the truth as they look back on a memory of a dream. I don't hate platitudes. Boy, do as I say. We are betting on you. 9th, you have to let go of 1 for all. So, that's where this ends. And what I'm assuming is based on the fact that it's Stars and Stripes. I'm assuming this is metaphorical mostly. Like I don't think Stars and Stripes is actually here in their vestige world. I don't think so. Because that would mean she's in 1 for all. Which I don't think so. I think this is just symbolic. Once again, I glaze HORI here, but I do it in the live reaction. But like, man, this hand is gorgeous and clears 90% of new gen art. But I'm assuming it's a similar case to where they're going to give 1 for all and all for one, finally let them merge, and then just destroy it from the inside. And then I assume it's going to be Midoriya with the embers of 1 for all that's left inside of him versus Prime All Might Shigaraki, who can no longer use Decay or all for one and regenerate. It's just going to be a slugfest between the two, back down to their very core. And I like that. Overall, you couldn't tell by how much I was yapping. A very W chapter. I really, really like it. It has a lot of dual-sided character stuff, and it has a lot of epic moments in towards Midoriya's ideology, and it's supposed to show that Midoriya's ideology is right, but I do think HORI knows. In a sense, it is flawed. And I think that's why it's being brought up in the way that's brought up and reflected upon in the way that's being reflected upon, and I really, really like it. And I'm very interested to see what happens in chapter 413. There's no break next week, so we're going to be cooking. However, if you made it all the way to the end of this video, please leave crazy kids. Literally crazy kids in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you hit that notification bell so you do not miss out on any videos that come to this channel. Also, I do happen to have a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1. Get them $1 a month. Get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks include the 20-minute live reaction to this very chapter. Now, I'd like to thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Manga the Pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our $3 members, Connor Plays, Red Wolf 4765, Greyhound, and Akids Void. I'd like to give another thank you to our $5 patrons, Victor, Sean, RNG Master, Midnight Gemlord, Metal Solid Crisis, Kevin, Igneal, and Demix LND. I'd like to give another thank you to our $7 member, Autumn's Morning Lazo. I'd like to give another chunk of thank you to our $10 patrons, Robbie Uchiha, Joaquin, Idemokami, and China Doll 09. I'd like to give a fat, juicy, scrumdiddlyumptious thank you to our wonderful $25 member, Alex Ice Rose. I'd like to give another hefty, defty, trifty, nifty thank you to our $25 patron, Calvin Elder.